be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus went home, and such a crowd collected that they could not even have a meal. When his relatives heard of this, they set out to take charge of him, convinced he was out of his mind. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
We have a very interesting gospel today, just talking about how Jesus is out of his mind. His relatives come to him and they say, oh, yeah, he has lost it. He has lost some notes in his head. He does not reason well. When I look down the history of my life, 10 years now, this year will be 10 years a priest, Father Anish will be 14, I think, a priest. But I think of, where are my classmates who were with me in high school? My three best friends, one of them, I had two really good friends. One of them a Muslim and one now a pastor, one working in Qatar. And the other classmate, the Muslim, is a surgeon, a heart surgeon in Japan. And I was doing very well in class, more than these two. So I tried to imagine, where could I be? And they've invested a lot in their families and everything. Okay? They have good families, they have good jobs, they're investing a lot, building houses. And 10 years after that, what am I to show for it? I just say, was I out of my mind to have chosen this path? Father Anish, a very handsome man, would have been now with a wife and many kids, good-looking kids, and he chose this path. He must have been out of his mind. We have still young boys who would have been in college. How did you graduate? You were almost finished in college and you left it to join the formation house. Were you out of your mind to do that? And Jesus gives us different commandments about that. Even for us who are here at Mass now, we could be sleeping and having a good time or other things, do other things. We must have been out of our mind to just come here and listen to Father Tony saying, the Lord be with you, and you just answer, and with your spirit. You do that all the time. Are we out of our mind to be doing this all the time? And Jesus says, if somebody slaps you on the left cheek, you should offer the right one. You must be out of your mind to do that. Jesus says, pray for your enemies. How can I pray for them? I want them to die today. That is the right thing. I must be out of my mind to be praying for my enemies. I must be out of my mind to do good to those who hate me. How can I do that? If you hate me, I should hate you back. I should plan evil, or how to get you. I should plan revenge against you. You should be out of your mind to be praying for them. And people who hurt you, you want to hurt them back. But Jesus says, you forgive. I must be out of my mind to forgive those who hurt me. And then, the gospel of today, you would expect that now Jesus is getting all the opposition. He's going to choose people who are knowledgeable. He's going to choose people, maybe lawyers, who can defend him. But he chooses people like fishermen, tax collectors, people who had no value. He must have been out of his mind. And the relatives came, his own relatives. Now it's not only the rejection from outside, but his own relatives. They came and they seized him and they said, we think he's out of his mind. We better take him and put him in a room and cage him until he comes back to his senses. And at times we have to lose our minds in order to do the right thing for God. If we do not lose our minds, if we are not out of our minds, then there is something still wrong. Because if we are not out of our minds, then we will follow the way of the world. The way of the world is very sensible. It is wise. It is the wise thing to do to not to forgive your enemies. It is the wise thing to do that when somebody slaps you on the left cheek, you slap him back on the right one. You slap him back. If somebody hates you, you should hate him back. That is what the world offers us. So we must be out of our mind to do the opposite. And this is what Jesus says. This is what Jesus means. This is what he meant by dying on the cross. He must have been out of his mind to leave his godliness and become one like us. It is because of the love for us that we go out of our minds. And it is only when we go out of our minds that we can truly love, that we can truly care, that we can truly be kind, that we can truly be generous, that we can actually make sense of what we are doing. And St. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, from verse 18 to 19, he says, if anyone wants to be wise, he must first become a fool. And in verse 10, he says, we must be fools for Christ. Okay? That there are things that we would do stupid, and people will say, you look stupid to do this. Like Father Anis now, he looks stupid or fool not to have kids now. Something. But that is what it means to be truly a Christian, that we must sacrifice and make sense of nothing that we do. Because the world is not going to give us credibility for that. It is stupid and it's foolish for me to leave everything apart from all the professions that I would have chosen. I chose priesthood. That offers me nothing. After 10 years of service, I have nothing to show for it, physical. I must be foolish to do that. And that is what St. Paul means by we must be fools for Christ. This is the example Jesus left for us today in the gospel, that people saw him as if he was out of his mind. Are we out of our minds?